All right, well, like I said, I just bit the bullet, decided to do it. Went ahead and stripped everything out except for that metal plate. All right, I got that board off, and I actually compressed some of this wood here where those nails would kind of go up through it, but I'm gonna actually put wood glue and glue it. But these are the slots I was talking about where they're messed up. Now you can see here where the wood is splitting, that middle section split. That's what happened down a bunch of this, so I'm having to re-glue all that. But I'm gonna glue it back together from this side. I've already glued the other side, and so when I bondo it with the nails and all that, to be honest, it should be nice and strong and sturdy. And then I'm gonna go back and rebuild. That board was all, and it was all not rotten, it was dry rot. It was just so dry. Those chocks broke off a little tough, but they come free. And I've got those, I'll glue those right back in when it's time. And the board right there, there's a slot. And basically all they did was just put a little bead of wood glue in there, put that board in, then put wood glue all over the board and those chocks, stuck it all together. Well, here we are, let me show you. I only have two little clamps, so what I did, I kind of clamped that together, and it won't look that perfect, but once I sand it, and I bondo the other side and stuff, you won't even see this side because the inside here will be covered with that board, that angled board right there. And on the outside, it's going to be bondoed and then sanded so smoothly. Even these inside these vents will be sanded good, and it'll all look real nice. All it's going to turn out nice when it's done. And all right, I'm going to turn the light on. It's actually starting to get dusk out here. There's still some light, but it's getting dark in here to see this. All right, basically here's what I've got. I've got it glued back together. That could have been a little better there, but that's going to be pretty solid still, especially once I bondo it, the other side of it. And then these are all solid. Everything's down here and even. May not look the prettiest, but it's going to be strong. I put a ton of wood glue on there, especially once I lifted. Shouldn't point like that. But once I took and cut these little pieces here and lifted them out, where I could get to the underneath pieces and make sure they were glued good too. Once I did that, that really, I mean, like I say, it strengthened it up. And plus, this little area, luckily right here, was actually still really solid in one piece. So that's at least one solid area that's kind of like, you know, not affected at all. So that's going to really help make this thing stronger. So once this hardens here in about an hour, probably have to have some dinner here. But at some point, I'm going to flip this thing over, and I can finally start bondoing the outside of it, one section at a time. This inside, I'll do it last probably because, to be honest, it's just going to need a little bit of sanding, and that's probably it. So here you have it. I've got these pieces all glued back together. Let's get a closer look. You can see here, I mean, it looks like it's still separated here, and I really don't feel it. I think they're just not, they're not totally squished together straight. So I'm going to kind of sand the inside of these little vents and get them looking like even. So when I paint that, it'll look nice. And I ended up using tape on these. Now I had a good little stretch right here that didn't have anything wrong with it whatsoever, so that was actually nice. And but I've got this thing, man, it's gonna be pretty solid. All right, I took it down so I can start looking at it again and getting it ready to hopefully bondo here in just a little bit. I wanted to let y'all see. I was gonna go ahead and take this tape off. It's been on here for probably 2 hours, which is really probably more than enough time, to be honest. Let's see here. Kind of take some of this off. Let's get an idea what it looked like. And actually, this isn't on that end. When I do it on this end, it'll take a lot more than one piece off at a time. There we go. Now we're cooking. That was a little more genius there, wasn't it? Okay. Now I still kind of be a little gentle pulling it down, and with the same pull as the vertical there, just so it makes sure I don't peel anything. But to be honest, it should be hard enough. I don't think any of that's going anywhere. See all that? Yeah, that thing's solid now. When I bondo that, the corners are gonna be, they're gonna be sharp. They're gonna be sharp for sure. Okay, so I'll get the rest of that tape off here in a minute. And let me show you this. These, I've got my nails on there. Let me get it back a little bit. Let's see, come across here. Let's see if you can see them. See, you can't really see them hanging out. That one in the middle is probably a little, maybe this one may be a little out. I may need to try to nail that one in a little bit, but now I can nail it in with a little more confidence now that that's all glued together. So I need to sink that one a little bit, but then otherwise that'll be all I can start putting the tape and getting ready for the, to pour the resin in that. Okay, I've got it up here, time to consider putting the resin in. Let's go over here and check all this out. Let's see if I can get time to zoom in a little here. All right, you can see I've got the screw heads. They could all be a little cleaner or whatever, but honestly, that's gonna be more than enough to hold that resin. What I'm just glad about is, see, look, how solid all this is. Man, earlier, before I even put the nails, man, this wood was really bouncing. So I'm glad I got that fixed from the underside. Now this was the one that was almost perfect, that didn't need barely anything. Here you can see I've got the nails. And again, they could be sitting a little higher, but I mean, I do this stuff with fillings when a tooth is missing a corner and have to put an anchor pin and things like that. So that's gonna all hold. I mean, even though I do this on teeth, and if it works on teeth, it's gonna work on this. So I'm not worried a bit about that resin holding. And then once I bond to it from there, man, it's gonna look awesome and nobody's gonna ever know the difference. So let me go ahead and start getting ready for the resin. I wanna get the resin in there first. I need to do that. Then once the resin hardens, then I can start bondoing, even though actually what I can do is get the resin on here, and then I'll get out the bondo and I'll start bondoing these sections, because they're such big sections that I'm gonna have to do it a little bit at a time. Plus it's gonna be, like I say, hopefully just mainly a little skim coat. It's not gonna be anything too heavy. So I wanna keep it really thin. So let's go for it. Here's my channels and my walls I've built to make this possible. I'll show you here, because when I pour this resin, it's gonna be pretty runny. It'll be a little more viscous than, or not quite as viscous as honey, but I've got these channels ready to go. And then I'm gonna go ahead and fill this little spot right here, because it'll just be easier to fill that with the resin. Now, you notice I've got the level out here, because part of what's gonna happen is, face it is runny enough that when we go to pour this, it's gonna run out and run this direction if I don't get this level. So I'm gonna get this leveled up, and then I'm gonna get out the resin, and we'll get ready to start hopefully mixing it up here in a minute. All right, I got it pretty level. It's not perfect, but it's close. Way closer than it was. Right here, yeah, both directions are pretty close. What I did was I put a couple of these under here, and this is where the amateur part comes in. I used what I had, but I tell you what, I'm going to have to walk around this and be careful when I'm pouring it so I don't come around and bump that. Because this stuff's going to take probably about 30 minutes to really harden good, or so, maybe an hour. Just depends. It's warm tonight. It's probably 85 in here in this garage, so I bet. So it's probably still going to set pretty good. Okay, what I'm using here, let me show you. It's fiberglass resin. It's made by Bondo. It says for smaller areas to do 6 tablespoons of this to, I believe it said a 1/4 tablespoon of the drops. So, you can see it. Try to see if I can get it well. 2 tablespoons is right there. So I'm gonna fill 3 of these. Well, actually, I guess I'm gonna use one and just put 3 of these in here. And then I'm gonna use, for the 1/4, does it have a 1/4 on there? Half. No, it doesn't really have an official. There we go, 1/4 fluid ounce, but it really said 1/4 teaspoon, which would be 1 teaspoon. It's hard to see on there, we go. Half a teaspoon, so I guess I can divide that in 2. Okay, well, maybe it'll be close enough. Okay, what kind of call does a marathon runner always make? Long distance. Let's see if I can, oh, no, that's the same one. I was gonna hide the answer and then show you, but oh well. No time for jokes, Dr. Jones. We gotta get working. All right, so double checking all my channels. They all look good. Okay, yeah, this is gonna be just fine. All right, I'm gonna put you on the tripod and we're gonna go to work. I'll put it here while I mix it, and then I'll move everything over. All right, so here we go. And believe it or not, this may not be enough. I think it'll be, but we'll find out. I don't really know for sure. All right, now. Opens up. See, where is that? There we go. Yep, I say it's just about there. I had a little bit more hardener, but there we go. Hope I don't have much left in there because I don't have much hardener left after this. Probably could use a respirator with this too. This stuff is pretty stout smelling. Now I want to be careful. I don't want to add a bunch of bubbles to it. I'm going to do this to help get rid of some of the bubbles. I want to kind of be careful. I want to mix it, but not try to introduce too much air. Try to keep the bubbles to a minimum. It's hard to tell when you've stirred enough, and it probably has been since it's all liquid, but I just have a struggle trusting these things, so. But if I wait too long, I'm going to end up not having enough time. In fact, I'm going to come over here and start just for grins. We're going to start right here. Now the trick here is when I'm putting it in there, it's trying to trap air, so I got to make sure and not trap the air. You want to kind of run this stuff down the side of the hole and let it fill up, and that way it'll have a place for the air to escape. If you take and you just pour air, you just pour this over the hole and it covers the top right away, what's going to happen is it's going to trap air, and the air that's trapped is going to keep the fluids from flowing down there. Okay. Okay, there we go. All right. And so again, I want to let it flow in there so it'll flow around the nail head without trapping air. We don't want to trap any air. And it doesn't have to be perfectly level because I'm going to be going back with Bondo if I need to. So let's see. Let me show you here. There we go. Let's get that off the tripod. Little flyby. Now you see why it's important this level. Now, of course, I'm still going to do my skim coat of Bondo, regular old Bondo on here. But what will happen is I'm probably going to go ahead and let this sit overnight before I move this around since it seems steady. All right, here it is. It's been about 30, 35 minutes. And that gives you an idea. This stuff's solid. This stuff, I mean, if I wanted to, I could sand it right now, except for, I don't know if you can tell out there, it's almost midnight, so I'm not about to go out there and sand it. Look at that, look how good that filled that in. And when I sand all this later, and then when I paint it, you're never gonna even know this was done. At least I hope. I'm probably gonna have to go to Ace Hardware. Oh shoot, you gotta be kidding, look at that. I missed the spot, hot dog. Wonderful. That was kind of a dumb move, but oh well, amateur hour, baby. So, actually, I find that's what ends up happening a lot of times. It gets late, and next thing I know, I start making mistakes. Yeah, look at that. It looks good. There we go. What a Dumbo. Oh well. Maybe next time. Let's wrap this up, and we'll pick this up in the morning.